you can't be successful any other way. And, I used to resent it so much, but I feel like being first gen my whole family coming from Jamaica, that's what the idea was there. And they kind of just try to put it onto me. And I feel like it became a thing where I just followed the rules, So my whole life I loved fashion, but I kind of almost say unfortunately, I was pretty good at science. So I was okay, well, this worked. I can ace this stuff. I can make it happen. So I kind of spent my whole life just following that path. Once I got to Bard and was doing neuroscience, it became different because now before science was a thing where I love just interacting with, engaging with, learning on my own time. But once I was kind of forced to study it and test all the time, do things like that, I kind of really started pulling back. And that's when I was you know what, the thing that drives me all the time, the thing that I wake up wanting to do, the thing I was bringing on was fashion. So
hello beautiful people, this is Yabe and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, your Yabe means you're going as a verb in colloquial language, so it is your Yabe Nosy, but you guys can call me Nosy. Let's get into this video because today we're going to be talking about Brandon Blackwood. We've spoken about the fear of God. We've spoken about Telfar. Guys, we have to speak about Brandon Blackwood, of course. Brandon Blackwood is a brand that obviously peaked in 2020 because of the End Systematic Racism Tote bag. Brandon Blackwood is also the name of the designer, so let me just say he designed that tote bag, okay? He's brand and him. So there was a bit of drama when it came to the bag because the brand just experienced a lot of demand. They just experienced an increase in demand and they couldn't keep up with it. So there was drama surrounding that, and we will dive into it a little bit in this video too. So what ended up happening is that people received low quality bags, or it would just take a long time, it would take a long time for that bag to be delivered to them. I feel like we have to give them grace for this because the demand just came out of nowhere. Literally, the demand just increased so quickly, so fast, and they had to keep up with that very quickly. They had to adjust to what was happening really, really quickly. One of the customers, from what I read in the New York Times, received a low quality bag, and after complaining, obviously Brandon Blackwood, the brand itself, and him too, of course, they obviously refunded her in under 24 hours. So that was really good customer service on their part. And she still supports the brand till this day, so that's really good. In fact, she said, I definitely want to allow them some grace because a lot of companies mess up, and I just don't feel like it's a good idea to just blackball one company, especially a black-owned company, just because of one mistake. Brandon Blackwood has such an amazing story simply because his parents, obviously, they thought that he was going to take the more serious route when it comes to his profession, his career, but he didn't. They found out that he majored in fashion on graduation day because they announced, I'm gonna get into it. They announced the name of the thesis that he wrote, and it obviously had nothing to do with becoming a doctor or something like that, right? So yeah, they found it on the day, and I find his story very, very inspiring because look where his brand is now. Look where his brand is now. Come on. This is a story of a man who said, I'm gonna follow my dreams and make something happen, okay? So let's dive into Brandon Blackwood. Brandon Blackwood was born and raised in New York, Brooklyn, and he started his namesake brand in 2015. He worked for a thrift store where he was paid $10 per hour and managed to save $3,000, and his mother actually gave him $4,000 for his birthday, therefore having $7,000 of capital to actually invest in his business. I think his parents were eventually supportive of his dreams when it comes to fashion, simply because, they did find out on graduation day, but also because he did major in neuroscience. He was genuinely interested in neuroscience, and then he switched to fashion. And guys, he interned for a whole Ella magazine and also Nylon. Child, that is so good. Really, really good. Anyways, in 2015, after his graduation, he worked for a thrift store called Crossroads Trading, and he also lived with three of his friends, college friends, in a 3-bedroom apartment. Yeah, and again, yes, it is the same store where he was earning $10 per hour. His friend, who was actually a writer for Essence magazine, encouraged him to actually start his fashion line. So after he saved up that $3,000 and his mom obviously gave him $4,000 and on his birthday, he then started designing samples of the bag. And when he would wear the bag, of course, he would wear his bag because it's his bag, it's his brand. Yes, sorry, okay. People started to ask, like, where did you get that bag? He would respond by saying that he designed it, and of course, the bag started to gain a lot of attention. He made 4 samples and then photographed them with his friends, sent them to his friend in Ella magazine, and obviously his brand was featured in in Essence magazine, okay? So he sent the photos to Essence magazine and he was featured in that magazine. Not too long after that, then he was featured in Ella magazine. Come on. The money that he would be making in the business, he'd obviously reinvested into the business, so it wasn't enough for him to live off by as yet. So before he blew up, he'd obviously try his best to make sure that his bags were actually available in stores. But during that time, they would say to him, nah, your bag is too niched, like, because, you know, they saw that, you know, through his Instagram and through just researching that his market was predominantly Black consumers. But obviously now, you know, they've changed their tone because, you know, it's popular, it's vibey, everybody likes it now, and etc. So they've changed their tone about it.
Right, yeah, I read in an interview you did with Forbes in 2020 how you said you had struggled to get your bags in there because the designs were deemed as too Black.
No one ever said directly to me like too Black, obviously, but like it was like, you know, they say things like it's very niche. And I'm like, it's a square trunk bag. How's it niche? You know what I mean? Like, but they would just like say, like, use terms like that because they saw my audience, they saw who was buying it. My brand today is still very much like predominantly like Black and POC customers. And at that point, back then, they just were like, okay, well, you know, we can live without it. And now, you know, it's completely flipped. You have Aurora with the 15% pledge, things like that. So I think now they're trying to make up for lost time, but they're also they're not necessarily doing it out of charity, you know what I mean? Because they still need to make money as well. But they're also like now realizing that these Black brands can sell, they have worth, and they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
This makes me really want to talk about the Black luxury consumers and how that market is growing. So yeah, we're definitely going to make a video on that, definitely. So in 2020, when the Black Lives Matter movement was obviously a serious discussion, he was just so frustrated with the injustice, and he just came up with the idea of actually creating this tote called End Systematic Racism. Okay. He grew from 30,000 followers on Instagram to 300,000 followers on Instagram. Demand for the bag grew a lot. It was too much, and obviously he had to make some changes to obviously meet that type of demand. He did discontinue the bag, and now he has a cult following, of course, of just his brand, and we are loving it, all right? Just because you discontinue a bag that gave you popularity or gave the company popularity doesn't mean that you're not going to have a cult following. What they're doing with their Instagram is just so amazing. Like, there's always something exciting to see on their Instagram every week. So I really love the fact that they're investing in social media. This is what he says on his interview with New York Times. He says, the brand was always getting bigger and bigger, and there was a point where I was fully sustaining myself off of the brand alone, and that was fine, Mr. Blackwood said, but now it's like a whole different thing. It's scary, he said. I'm so happy, I'm super grateful, but still occasionally freaking out. Lupita was one of the first celebrities to actually wear his bag before his launch of the ESR tote bag. Kim Kardashian wore his ESR tote and that gained a lot of attention. He gained a lot of attention from that. After initially launching 500 bags and selling it out in 2 hours, he expanded the tote line into 37 other colors and materials, helping the brand gain $3 million in revenue the same year. Blackwood was later tapped by Saweetie for her fast motion music video, which features several products from her favorite Black-owned brands. She circled back around to collaborate with him on a handbag that she held a giveaway for to celebrate the Saweetie McDonald's meal. The Saweetie McDonald's meal is here on the screen. It was really nice. I also saw it on Instagram. So yeah, he did make a live on Instagram. The live is still on his Instagram right now. But yeah, he did make a live on Instagram with regards to the backlash that he was receiving because of the high demand and them not meeting that high demand. I mean, like, we have to give him grace with that, guys. Like, seriously, like, I don't think he even expected that. I wouldn't have expected it, personally, if, like, you know, just the high demand of things just came through. Like, bro, like, it's exciting, it's nice, it's like, wow, yeah. But now you have to like do a few changes in your business, and you have to implement certain strategies to make sure that your brand is still relevant now and in the future, and obviously take advantage of the opportunity that's happening right now. One thing I actually really like about Brandon Blackwood is that they're investing in social media a lot, and that is something that you don't really see with a lot of fashion brands. Like, they try to, but they're not doing it like Brandon Blackwood is doing. You get what I mean? They're not doing it like they're doing, okay? But seriously, guys, like, please look at their Instagram. Oh, this is so cute. Oh my gosh. Please look at their Instagram. Like, UGC content. They're really using social media. I mean, the calendar's there, when it's gonna launch. Guys. 621 comments. They actually reply to people. Come on, UGC come on. This is like, you feel like you're part of the brand. They're just killing it. He is just killing it. Like, dude, what? Guys, this is why I'm saying, like, the Instagram, like, they really go hard on social media. Like, they go hard on social media. Seriously, I've never seen, I don't think, when it comes to a fashion brand, I'd say, nah, this is the brand that goes hard on social media. They're really about connecting with their audience. They're really about connecting with their customers for real. Like, this is funny. This is really funny. But do you guys see this? Like, nobody goes hard like they do. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're doing the most, and I like it. They need to do the most all the time. You can see that they actually, like, you can really see that they actually put so much effort on the Instagram page, and that definitely deepens the connection with you and your audience, or you and your community, if we can say that. Not even if we can say that. No, it is a community, definitely, and I'm part of that community because I'll be actually like voting on the polls, everything like that. I feel like I'm part of the brand. Do you know what I mean? So, big ups on that, to be honest. So I found this question very interesting. He got asked by Complex, so let's get into it. How did you see being raised in Brooklyn in Jamaican? Okay. How did you see being raised in Brooklyn in a Jamaican household fully reflected in the work that you do? I'd say it lends itself into the overall styles, but also like the color things like that. I feel like Jamaican people as a whole are very loud, bright, very expressive people. With my work, I try to do that for myself at least. So I think, yeah, that's where you definitely see that. And with Brooklyn and all over New York, you're thrown into seeing so many different people from so many different backgrounds and ways of life. And I feel like it's almost impossible, especially as a New Yorker designer, to ignore that. Not a New Yorker designer, a New York designer, to ignore that. You're pulling from different outfits, When we go outside, when we take the train or whatever, you literally see 5 different people, 5 different aesthetics, and they all look good, So it's like you pull from that consistently. I think New York always consistently feeds. Another question that he also answered was, they asked, I like that. That's very out of the box, and it overall just speaks to your creativity as an individual. But my last question is, what do you want your legacy to be overall? And then he says, I don't necessarily know what it will evolve into, because just look at me now compared to 2 years ago, I think it's almost ridiculous to kind of say this is what is going to happen, but I just want it to be out there. I want people to look back and be like, wow, he did it his way. He's really authentic about it, and it looked great. It was great. Yes. I was just good. I just want good feelings to come from whatever people think about when they think about 5, 10, 30 years from now. Oh, that's so nice. So they don't just sell bags right now, they also sell key holders, key pouches, makeup bags, and wallets too. And yeah, he's currently working with 200 bag styles. And guys, he started with 4. If you saw me reading a little bit, it was my screen. But yeah, he started with 4 and now he's currently working with 200 styles of bags, guys. Like, I would love to know how that transition was, from having this beautiful brand, to having a brand that is now gone viral. Like, and now it has a high demand, and now there's like a cult following. Like, yo, like, how was that transition? Like, it was so, like, it would be so interesting to just like pick his brain on like how his mindset had to shift on a business perspective as well in terms of meeting the demand. Like, that would be so interesting, you know? Honestly, do not give up. I think I'm gonna say this like in almost every video, but only give up like after 10 years, okay? But yeah, I say this in every video. If you're getting into fashion, you also need to be business savvy. All right, you just need to be business savvy, and you need to know how to market. Period. Okay. These designs are just really great. They're really just amazing. And honestly, the glasses, I was looking at the website. They just came out, by the way. I think they just came out. I think they just launched it like right now as I'm speaking, right? They're just so amazing. They're so great. Like, it's just levels, honey. What can we say? They levels. Again, this is another brand that went viral simply because of social media. Remember Marshall Columbia and Naomi Anderson? We've touched on those two brands. The power of social media. Again, amazing. Come on, let's democratize the fashion industry. Let's do it. I will also say that his relationships that he built in the fashion industry also helped a lot. I don't think there's such a thing called like self-made and like doing things on your own. Dude, like, nah, bruh, you always need help. So I would also say his relationships also benefited him. I mean, he had connections with Essence magazine and he entered for Ella magazine, but he optimized those connections. He used those connections in the right way, which was very good on his part. So clap hands, really clap hands. So I'm gonna end this video with a question he was asked by Complex with an interview that he had with Complex, because I just really love the answer. So let's get into it. Okay, they ask, I also wanted to know, just based on your history of going to Bard College and secretly majoring and doing fashion work pretty much throughout college and literally just with launching the brand, I feel like everything in some way, shape or form was a risk, okay? Whether it's low risk or high risk, doesn't matter, because you're kind of just betting on yourself with that. With that to young Black creatives, whether they're from the city or whether they're worried about taking those risks and putting their passion forward, what would you say is your best key of advice for that? That is a very good question, right? Very good question. He says, it sounds so cliche, but you want to take the risk. You have to take that jump because that's the only thing that's going to get you to where you want to be. And on top of that, I just make sure that whatever you do, make sure you're living for yourself and not someone else. Whew. I think it's very, very important that you're happy with yourself and the decisions you make at the end of the day. So if you want to make the t-shirt, if you want to make that shoe, if you want to make that bag, you have to do it. I think my biggest fear in life is growing up and looking back and being like, wow, I regret not making a stab at this or not trying this. I don't want to ever be that person. So anything that comes to my mind, and you can ask my team this, I'm like, okay, let's do it. Because I don't know, I have crazy FOMO. And I think younger kids and designers should also have the same mindset of it. Of if you believe in it, try to do it. I like that. I like that. I like that. I truly do. That whole sense, it's just too beautiful. It reminds me of Brandis Daniels. She always says, take the jump all the time. Like that's her theme or her saying, like just take the cliff jump, So yeah, oh my gosh, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I truly did, and I hope this inspires you. If this inspired you, please go share it on your Instagram, your family group, your friend group, wherever you are. Please share this video if you think this will help another fashion designer or help somebody who's just interested in fashion or who just loves hearing about fashion, just like me, okay? So I'll see you guys in my next video. This is your Nancy, and yeah, bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe as well. But yeah, bye.